Let's learn Minuet 2. I'm going to play you it first of all so you can hear what it sounds like. This particular piece comes from the Anna Magdalena notebook, and we're not altogether certain who composed it. It might have been Bach, but it might have been one of his contemporary composers of that time. 1, 2, 3. So, it's a very charming, elegant piece. Let's look at some warm-ups that we might do before we start to play it. The major thing in this is actually that it revolves around a particular scale, the scale of G major. So I'm going to use the scale of G major, and I'm going to think of a different bowing. So a bowing that would use a rhythm within the piece. So we have ta, ta, ti, ta, ta, ti. So I'm going to try playing G major with that rhythmic pattern. So 1, 2, 3. It also uses the triad of G major an awful lot, and that's the arpeggio of G major. So we're going to have a little look at that arpeggio, and I'm going to play Piccadilly Circus on each note. I'm going to start with Mr. 3 on the D string, so just the 3 on the D string. Ready, go. Then I'm going to put 1 down on the A string and roll the bow over. Go. Then I'm going to leave the 1 down but put the 3 down on the A string. Go. Now my 1 stays down on the A string, but I put 2 beside it on the E string, roll the bow over and play that. Now I come back to 3 on the A string, roll the bow over, play. My 1's still down on the A string, so I play that, go. And then I go over 3 on the D string, roll the bow over, go. So if I play that arpeggio just with single bows first of all, so 1, 2, 3. 1 on A, 3, low 2. Now I need to become familiar with that arpeggio because it's used so frequently in this piece. But I can extend what I know of the piece and of that arpeggio. So I could try it in triplets. So if I go like this, 3, 1, 3, go. 1, 3, 2. 2, 3, 1. 3, 1, 3. Now if I don't do it with stops, it will sound like this. Ready, go. I could then do that with stop slurs with 3 to a bow. So down, 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 up, down, up, and then lastly smooth slurs. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just using different rhythmic elements from the piece in the scale warm-up that I'm using. There's other things that one could do though. You could think about the sounds that you're wanting as well. So there's a very delicate bit in this which goes like... And it's like you're lifting your partner up into the air, or you're going up onto your toes as you dance. So I can do the same thing. I could do the arpeggio or I could do the scale. If I do the first octave of the scale, it would go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can see that within that warm-up we're using the bowing technique that we need in the piece, which was a slightly heavier first beat that melts away, and then there's a little note which travels in the air, then do the same. And we're going to look at that later, but we could use the same principles in the warm-up. Another thing that happens in this piece is that we're gradually using more and more independence of the left hand. So I'm going to start to use Mr. 3, but in its high context, so a high Mr. 3. So if I just practice doing that, I can play 1 on the A, high 2, and 3 beside the 2. Now, that's our common finger pattern. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to open my knuckles like a fan, and I'm going to stretch the 3 a step away from the 2. So here we go. So 1, high 2, high 3. It's bright. It gives it a brighter sound. Now, I can use that idea as well in playing a B major scale. So if I play 2 bows on each note, I'm going to start 1 on the A string. Ready, go. High 2, high 3. Now 4 goes beside the high 3. 1 on the E, high 2 on the E, high 3, high 4. When I said high 4, I meant it was beside Mr. 3. Stupid me. Okay, so it's the same finger pattern, a finger pattern that looks something like that. And if we practice that scale, then we can become familiar with playing these high threes. Another thing that we can do is play hot cross buns. So if I play 1, high 2, high 3. So there's my starting note for hot cross buns, and it goes 3, 2, 1, go. High 3, 2, 1. Now 1 4 times. 2, high 3. So I'm now getting comfortable playing high threes. That's actually an exercise that should have been happening in previous pieces, so that when you come to this piece, you're quite familiar with playing high threes. Let's look at the tricky bits now, and there are quite a few of them. So I'm going to look at the first 2 bars. The first bar is almost like an upbeat to the second bar, so it should sound, musically speaking, like this. It leads to the top G. But we've got to break this down because we need really clean string crossing to make the notes really crystal clear and controlled. And so the open strings that we're playing, so what the bow does without this left hand is this. I land on the E, roll over to the D. I'm in a position where my upper arm is nice and balanced. Not too high, not too low. Now I play the D. I go to A again, E, back to A, over to E again, whole bow, over to D. So that's what the bow is trying to do, and we can look at that further. So when I'm on the D string, I play that, my arm goes down to the A string level. My arm goes down to the E string level. The back of my hand goes over to the A. My arm goes down to the E. And the back of the hand leads over to the D. Now, if I practice that and I say what has to move, it helps with my understanding of what the arm is actually doing. So I play D, arm, arm. Back of the hand, arm, back of the hand. So the smoother that becomes, then the more confident is my playing is going to become, and the cleaner it's going to become. So that's one aspect of it. Then I have to add the fingers into that, and this is just an arpeggio of G major. So we looked at the warm-up, and we need to be very, very fluent and have a really good facility for this particular triad. So I put 1 down on the A and 3 on the D, and I'm going to play 3 on the D, arm, 3 on the A, the low 2 goes beside the 1, arm, back of the hand leads over to the A, fingers off, 1 on the E, arm, low 2 on the E, back of the hand over to 3 on the D. So that's one aspect of it that will come with, fluency will come with more practice on it. It just takes time. It's one of these things, it's like taking a medicine that tastes disgusting. You know that if you just do the exercises, if you take the medicine, that in a week you'll be better. So that's the same here. There's one aspect of it which I think is interesting, is at the very top of the arpeggio we reach this G, and I've been saying use the back of the hand to lead over to the D string, but actually I feel it as an impulse. I use the energy of the down bow to take me over. So it's like a curve that goes like that. And I just allow the bow to go over in the impulse of that down bow, or the energy of the down bow. So we get this. We've come across that bowing before in Minuet 1, and we know that it's the strong, less, less, strong, less, less idea. And so we're just applying the same ideas as we've met before in Minuet 1. That's one tricky bit, which is quite tricky. Well, I think it's very tricky. The next one is what happens in bars 12 and 13. So we have the same figure just before it, but now the music goes on to a scale, and it starts with 4 on the A string, then goes down. The difficulty here is that I use a 1-4 block. So to help the fourth finger, I put 1 down as well. So I've done 1 down, 4 down. 1-3 block. Because we're playing in G major, so we have low Mr. 2 on the A string, high Mr. 2 on the D string. Our finger is now independent, so we put down the block fingering so that we can be really clean and precise with where we put our second fingers. Now, initially I do this with a break, so I do, I think 1-4, then go. Then I make the break a bit less. Then without a break, 1-4. So it's just thinking ahead as to what's coming next in the music. So this use of 1-4 blocks, 1-3 blocks is quite a lot through this whole piece. Then bar 15-16 for me is a tricky one as well, where we have, and it's tricky because we're introduced to a rhythm which is called a triplet or triola. So we have triola, ta, 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 ah. So if I play it separate bows, ready, steady, go. Triola, ta, 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 ah. And I'm just doing that on a plain open A. Then I can do that on the correct strings, which would be triola, ta, ta, ta. Now I'm going to start to look at what the bowing is, because we have slurs of 3 notes and the stop slur of 2 notes. So I'm going to start with stop slurs for everything. So it's going to go triola, ta, 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 ah. I'll do that again. 2, 3. Triola, ta, ta. The secret to any successful practicing is being able to break the problems or the issues that you find down to a simpler level and just build them from there. So now I could add some fingers to that. So open 1, low 2 on the A, open D, high 2 D, and Mr. 3 on the D. I'll do that again. So 1, 2, 3. And I've kind of divided the bow into thirds, so I know where each of those triplet notes goes. So the last thing is to do it smoothly. 1, 2, 3. And the 2 up bow stop slurs are half bow, half bow. So that's bars 15 and 16, and those ones are less tricky than the one that I'm about to do now. So this is the last really big tricky bit that I see with these triplets, and that's in bars number 23 and 24. So again, I'm just going to play it as separate bows. I know the rhythm because I've already just played the rhythm in that previous bit. It's the same rhythm. So I'm going to do separate bows using the fingers. So it's 1 on the E, low 2, 3, 1 on A, open your knuckles, high 3, 4 goes right beside it, high 3, open, E, and 1. So the first thing that I want to do here is separate the role of the notes. The first bit is this. The next bit is the upbeat to the next section. So it goes. So I need to think about how this phrase is divided properly. The phrase isn't a 2-bar phrase, so it's not. It's not like that. It's. So let's put the stop slurs into it now. So 1, 2, 3 on the E, 1 on the A, high 3, 4. Now the upbeats, so little bow. Let's do that smooth. 2, 3. And that's that passage, and that is the passage that I would be practicing every day, because that is a very, very difficult little bit. That's also one that I would have been practicing from when I was playing Etude or when I was looking at Minuet 1, much, much earlier. Then we have the smooth slurs where we're crossing over strings. Very interesting bit, this. So initially in bars 29 and 30, when I'm playing this, I'm going to play the slurs as stop slurs, and it goes A, D, D. And I'm going to go half bow, and then a whole bow. Then 1 on the A. I'm going to leave the 1 down on the A, go to the D, and then whole bow. So I've kept that 1 down. I've kept it down for 2 reasons. One is because the next note after I've played these slurs is a low 2. So I've got the 1 down as a guide for where that 2 is going to go. But the other reason is when I cross strings, I need to be on the string that I'm going to before I lift any finger off. Otherwise you'll hear an extra note. So I'll give you an example of that. You can hear that little extra A. I don't want that. So I've got to keep the 1 down until I'm on the D. But in this instance, I'm going to keep it down anyway because of what follows. Right, so we've just done it with stop slurs. Now let's do it with smooth slurs. So A half, D half. 1, then open D. So this is coming along really nicely. I developed that idea, and it's nice to have this sort of bow management being very even. Unfortunately, this is a charming, elegant dance. It's not how it's going to go musically speaking. So now I'm going to have to be a bit more sophisticated with the way I use the bow. The 3rd beat of the bar is not the strong beat, so I'm not going to use a whole bow with it. I'm going to make a little bow, and then I'm going to travel in the air. And I'm going to lean on the 1st beat of the bar. So I'm going to go strong, weak, and lift. Strong, weak, and lift. So there are different stages to this, and we've got to think about what the musical context is, because it's telling us how we're going to develop our technique. Technique is always driven by what our musical considerations are. After that, we have this little passage. We've got 1 down on the A, so we put low 2 on the A, then 3, 2, 1, 2 with little bows, then open A. So that's most of the tricky bits in this. There's one other bit which you could look at, which is personally, I use a 1-3 block when I go to the 3 on the A. 1, 3, then 4. One, 3, high 2. So those are the tricky bits in this piece. Now let's just look at the piece and see what's going to happen with it. One of the aspects of it in the previous piece, we looked at, are there any bars which we could play that are easy and we can learn the whole piece in a faster way, or have confidence that we can actually learn this whole piece. It's the same with this piece, but there's another aspect to it. That arpeggio figure, which I like to say these words, wibble wobble to the pond, darkies, wibble wobble to the pond, darkies. Those words are really nice. They fit the music beautifully. But that figure happens a number of times. I think it happens at least 3 times all the way through the piece. So if you've got a piece that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars, or 10 lines long, 3 of those lines are exactly the same. And it's good to know that it's not quite as long a piece as you think it is. The other aspect is that that gives you a stability in your memory as to what's happening next after it, because you're always coming back to something familiar. So let's look at that familiar bit first of all. So it's the arpeggio of G major, 3, 1, 3, low 2, open A, 1 on the E, 2, 3, 3. We did it earlier today. So let's just try it once more. Ready, go. 3 on D, 1 on A, 3, low 2 on E, open A, 1 on E, low 2 on E, 3 on D. And then you do it again. And when you do it again, it could be like a little mirror image of what you've just played. So the first one can be slightly stronger. And this can be slightly gentler. Like a reflection. Then we've got the next section, second line. I use open E to start with, so I do E, 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 low 2. Then 3 on the A, 3, low 2. Now this is an interesting bit because of the shape of the notes. You've got 3 open E's and then you've got 3 3s on the A, but they're not the same. So it goes strong, less, less. So we have strong, less, then strong, less, then strong. This is a figure that you've already heard before. So low 2 on the A, 3, 2, 1, 2, open A. Then we get the same as the first line, the wibble wobble on the pond, darkies, wibble wobble to the pond, darkies. And then we get this tricky bit where we have 1 and 4 on the A. Then a scale going down, 3, so 1, 3 block on the A, scale going down, and then our triplet figure, open 1, 2 on the A, open D, high 2, and 3 for 3 beats. Now the music develops and it becomes a little bit more dramatic. So we have 3 on the D string, A, 1, A, 3 on the D, 2, 3, 1, 1. So we'll do it a little bit faster. So 3 on the D, it's just a scale that goes up to 1 on the A and then comes back down again. When I come back down to the 3 on the D, I put 1, 3 block down. So 3, A, 1, A, 1, 3 block, 2, 3, 1, 1. And this is answered on the higher version of the G. So on the E string, 2, 1, E, 2, 1, E, with a low 2. Ready, go. 2, 1, E, 2, 1, E. Then 1 on the E string and 1 on the A. You hop the 1 over, move the bow over. Then you have the same 2, 1, E, 2, 1, E again. One on the E hobo, 1 on A, open E. And now here's another tricky bit. 1, 2, 3 on the triplet, 1 on A, high 3, 4. Then the tirata or decoration to the next bit, high 3 on the A, E1. Then we have another scale, low 2 on the E, another 2, and then go down the scale. 1, 3 on the A, 4, 4, 3, low 2, And the last bar I have strong, then get less. This is difficult because you have low twos on the A and the E, and you have to remember that on the D string you have high two. So 2 is beside the 3 on the D string, but it is beside the 1 on the E and the A strings. Other than that, when I'm memorizing this, I'm thinking that when I do the scales going down, they always start from the first note. So it's a low 2. Now I play a low 2 again with little bows. Now I play a 4 with a push bow. Now 4 again. Go down. Low 2. Then a push bow. 2. And I do a retake bow there. So that last phrase on the high 2 is a push bow. 2. I'm in the lower half of my bow. 1, 2. Don't go too high. The note. It's just a little bow. Make the little circle. It's like a golf ball size circle. Then we have the slur. 2, 3. And then we have wibble wobble to the pond duckies. The same as we've been playing before. It's actually the same as the 3rd and 4th lines. We just do that exactly the same again. So although this is quite a long piece, a lot of the material is repeated, and you just have to have the structure of what you're doing in your head to understand how to memorize it really well. I think that's basically it. I'm just going to play through it once more, but I'm going to do it without the repeats this time. So 1, 2, 3.